Addiction started for me August 30th, 1976. I was born 2 months premature, 3 pounds, 6 ounces, in an incubator, being weaned with phenobarbital. My mother was an addict as well. If I had an earache or a toothache or a headache or something like that, she'd give me Vicodin.
I started staying with a friend, and he had a relative who had been in multiple accidents and was hurt and didn't necessarily need all of the medication that she was prescribed, and we had a lot of access to it, and that's kind of snowballed from there. It changed my personality, it changed the dynamics of my relationships, it changed my entire life. It made me into a person that I was not proud to be.
Friends that I thought were friends, everyone was doing it, I guess. And I wanted to try it. And I started with Coke before the pills.
15, no, we don't. We've got 15-2 and 2.
Man, I think I started out just like everyone else. It was like all about drinking a few beers and going to a high school dance. And then pretty soon my motto became, well, if she doesn't dance with me, I can always get drunk. And then shortly after that, I got into drugs. Addiction is really just an overuse of chemicals that are already existing in the brain. So if you have a feel-good neurotransmitter like dopamine and you have a natural experience that you feel good about, that's just a kind of a natural release of that particular neurotransmitter. If you decide you'd take a little snort of cocaine or smoke a little crack, then what happens are the gateways to that particular neurotransmitter just open up and flood the brain, and you get this euphoric feeling.
I found out, I was working down in Bangor, and I got a call, and it was his mom. And she goes, "Roger's in trouble." I said, "Well, let me speak to him." So he talked to me. He says, "Dad, I'm a drug addict."
My employer approached me and let me know that my drinking problem was also becoming a problem for them. And I'm a career person, so that was very important to me. That was my wake-up moment.
To achieve sobriety and maintain sobriety, you need to have a desire to stop using and have to be okay with the fact that you're not ever going to use drugs again. And to me, that was really scary. Drugs were my best friend. They were always there for me. They comforted me when I needed them.
My daughter said to me I was home for Christmas, and they were doing presents in the other room, and I was getting high in the bathroom. So my daughter says to me, she's like, "Dad, it would have been nice to have you there." And I said I was there, because in my mind, through my active addiction, I thought I was there. She said, "No, you were in the bathroom the whole time." So as I look back at things, there's many things that I missed.
I'd had enough. I was living on the streets of Portland. It's a rough life, and I was using a needle, and I was, doing whatever I could, stealing. I got arrested before that from stealing from people, and I just had enough. It's a gross way to live.
I woke up, it was early, and I go to the bathroom, and I go up and I hollered at him, "Raj, get up, it's time for work, dude. Let's go. No response. So I go into his room, I push the door open, and I holler to him again, and he's laying there in bed. And I say, "Hey man, it's time to go, let's do it." As I get closer, foam's coming out of his nose. And I never saw nothing like that in my life. And I went over and I grabbed him and I hugged him, held him in my arms, and he was so cold. I lost everything right there.
I was 129 pounds, track marks all over my body, dying. One morning, I woke up and said that enough is enough. For some reason, instead of looking at the big picture that I'm really just hurting my children as I'm going through this addiction, that I want to be in their lives, because the only thing that I feel like I have any people in my life or any love from anything is my children. I left a letter at where I was staying and walked to St. Joe's, and they put me in a locked facility for 7 days and put me on a Suboxone regimen.
The first line response from the community has been to increase access to medication-assisted treatment. First it was the clinics, and now with the advent of Suboxone, more and more doctors are becoming certified to prescribe Suboxone. There has been a recognition that what we would call traditional treatment providers have had to change their mindset about medication-assisted treatment. It's been a struggle, it's been kind of an evolutionary process. And then the recovery community as a whole has had to do that same thing. Part of what I really believe is an important piece to this is to have a very supportive environment for the recovery process. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen.
For me, I used 12-step programs, support groups. I went to a counselor, and I developed a core group of people that were walking the same path that I was walking, and I relied a lot on them to help me through any stumbling blocks that I might have encountered along the way. The community needs to understand, and we need to do a better job of educating them, that people are addicted. That doesn't mean that they're bad. They may make bad choices in their addiction. That doesn't make them bad people. And stigmatizing them by saying, oh, you're nothing but a drunk, or you're nothing but a druggie, really limits them from reaching out and asking for support.
Is it a disease or is it free choice? You know, and the stigma associated with people who become opiate dependent is incredibly stringent.
My mother has a chronic illness, and she didn't have a choice, and I did. I made the choice to pick that drug up, but I feel like once I picked it up, I couldn't stop, so that's the disease part for me.
The graveyards, right full, kids, adults. You wouldn't believe it, in a small little town.
We have people that are now not being able to finish high school. The gap between the educated and the non-educated is increasing. The workforce itself no longer requires an unskilled labor force, and so more and more of these people are just going to be left behind. It's about today. Don't worry about quitting for the rest of your life. Just say, do whatever you need to do not to take the first drug or drink today. And surround yourself with people who know how to do that.
As long as I stay stuck in the yesterday and stuck in the what ifs, I'll miss everything that's happening today.